What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah,
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One set. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Jim Green here for the One Set podcast, along with my co-host and best friend, my brother Anthony Irvin. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. We are back with the part 2 of this series. So we did SummerSlam, if you guys saw that. Now we are going over House of the Dragon Season 2. Where do we begin? we just got off of watching the last episode.
We begin with just explaining the reason for this double drop week. We had SummerSlam on Saturday night and House of the Dragon Season 2 finale on Sunday night. Anthony and I, if you missed the last episode of the podcast, Anthony and I were trying to decide on which one do we want to do first, and then which show do we want to target for the following week.
Mm-hmm.
And we really debated. It just didn't make sense to push one off to the following week, so we decided let's just cover both topics, and we didn't want to combine them into one joint episode. It didn't make any sense. We know we have wrestling fans that love our wrestling content, and we know we have fans of the podcast that aren't necessarily into wrestling. We had a lot of hits on our season 1 recap that we did, so we wanted to do 2 separate episodes for both of these. They just happened to land in the same weekend, so we said, why not? Let's just drop both on the same week. So here we are with part 2 of this series, being House of the Dragon Season 2 recap. Dude, there are a lot of complaints online about the ending of Season 2, and I get it. I totally understand it, because I think we all were expecting more.
I was definitely expecting the start of at least something of the battle, but then when it just hit black, I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me, because it was almost the same way as how they did with Season 1, but at least they left that with a good cliffhanger. You saw Lucas, he got killed by Vagar, and then you see Rhaenyra and her shot, and you're like, okay, and you're like, okay, at least something's about to go down in Season 2, but we got to wait for this. But they certainly were like, hey, we're gonna give you a little taste of what's to come, and we're just gonna do about a 70-minute review to get you ready for Season 3, which is the joke about everybody saying, we pretty much just watched a 70 to 90 minute trailer for Season 3.
Yeah. And I will say this: the storytelling in the show, the acting in the show, the effects on the show, obviously a huge budget for the show with the effects.
They definitely went all out for it.
Yeah, and I will just say one of the biggest things with the whole season, after Blood and Cheese, which was episode 1, we also did a mid-season recap, but we are going to kind of go through the whole season overall here.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Daemon and Rhaenyra fighting, and then Daemon just leaving and going to Harrenhal, and him being there and having all these trippy visions, and everyone being like, dude, why don't you just leave?
Yeah, it's the first one. I'd been like, all right, screw this. I'm going back to Dragonstone.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
I'm going home. I really don't need Harrenhal as it is.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. I mean, but as we saw pan out in the season finale, Eamon sticking around proved worthwhile, and we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
Cheyenne and I were watching it, and Cheyenne was like, it took them all season for Rhaenyra to just get on her dragon and fly over there to see Daemon, and then they could have done that so many episodes ago, right?
Right.
But
he definitely went through a lot of character change within this season, I feel. And, because he was obviously to the point where he was like, hey, I'm about me. I'm this. Like, hey, even if Rhaenyra tries to, get on the throne, I'm going to try to, usurp her to get on the throne. That was his, first type of thing. Like, or if I end up getting on the throne, she can follow me for all she wants. But after this, now it's like, okay, and we'll get into more of his character change with everything, but especially with what happened in the last episode, and him having the vision from, the potential, things from the weirwood tree, and him seeing the long night, him seeing the three-eyed raven, and, we had a snippet of Daenerys, which was awesome. And
so it was the best part. It
definitely,
was,
yeah.
You and I texted it, and because I was coming home from my show Sunday night, so you got a head start on it, and I told you, okay, starting now, let you know when I'm done, and I was like, okay, I'm watching the post show like recap with the directors, and you're like, whoopsie, right? I was like,
yeah,
exactly. So I think really a lot, and I'll say this again, probably more than once, and especially at the end of this recording.
Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencastr. Zencastr is the ultimate-based podcasting solution and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layered backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to Zencastr.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
The fact that we have to wait 2 years for season 3 is what's really off-putting. And I understand it from the production standpoint of all of the editing that they have to do once they film everything.
Yeah.
Like, I can respect it, because I don't want you to rush the production and give us mediocre visuals on TV. I mean, we're getting dragon battles, like
close-up dragon battles too. Like,
take your time and make it as stellar looking as possible. That's fine. Especially you're giving us Night of the Seven Kingdoms starting in 2025. We're getting all of these Game of Thrones prequel shows coming up. Apparently there's 7 of them in the works currently.
So we're definitely gonna, it's not like going into season 2 after watching season 1 there was nothing, so you had literally were just waiting. And I'm sure, like all Game of Thrones fans, we're probably going to rewatch Game of Thrones 1 or 2 times, if not more, within the next year or two, just to go back and rewatch. I know I will, most likely, but I think it'll be better this time around, because, like you said, we're going to have Night of the Seven Kingdoms coming out. With that, they're going to start probably showing us some behind the scenes from season 3 that'll start spoiling. It looks like, from what I saw, they're going to start doing some stuff for season 3 this year. Like, they're going to start production on season 3 this year, if I'm not being so forth. I think they did say that they are close to starting production on season 3 very, very soon.
Yeah,
It's not going to be as delayed as last time.
they're going to start filming by the end of the year,
Yeah.
which is great. The story is already written, so
Right.
I think the biggest deal is how much do they want to extract from the show or from the book into the show, and how many adjustments do they want to make? Because this season we saw a lot of little changes along the way. I know
it seems like they were kind of going from the book, things that were in the book, things that weren't in the book. One of the things that sticks out was the fact that Helena, supposedly in the book, she doesn't have a lot of dialogue or a lot of mention in the book, where in the TV show, she's a little bit more
involved
into the TV show.
Yep.
So again, I probably won't look at the books, but it's interesting to see like how much they go off the books and how much, characters change in the TV show versus what they were in the books. So,
well, I think the big thing here is that the overall plot isn't being changed, right?
Yeah.
So us knowing like how the show is going to end, because the internet has spoiled a lot of it. Okay.
Yeah.
And even the Game of Thrones show itself, Joffrey Baratheon tells us who kills who in the end. Okay. It's just, again, a lot of the stuff that I'm reading online, I'm just looking forward to seeing it visually on
person
on TV. Yeah, in person. I wish I was there watching the dragons actually fight each other. Right?
Yeah, dude.
That's all you could say was.
It's like almost 1 o'clock in the morning. That's about as much as I can get out. It's all good.
No,
but
it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, Whoopsie. Joffrey, like, ruins it for everybody.
Yeah, seriously.
We have the books. We have things in Game of Thrones that mentions, the House of the Dragons, and the stories behind everything. So I try to just stay on. And plus, when you're on YouTube, you see a whole bunch of shorts of a lot of people going off the House of Dragon and trying to go further into it. But most of those, I'm like, all right, if they're starting to talk about it, I quickly get out of it, because I would like to think that some of those should start saying like, hey, if you don't want to know what's happening in House of Dragons, spoilers are coming. Don't like get into it, because I'll watch a little bit of it, and then it'll start getting into something like, oh, no, I don't want to hear it. Like,
no, I'll say this. What really? Okay. I'm just gonna let you know, I've been really good on like curbing my language. I'm gonna be a little bit more free on this one, because when you roll across something where you're like, okay, you have to like really read into it to get to the spoilers, you can avoid that easily.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you're rolling across YouTube, or like the spoilers that I saw were on Facebook with a graphic visual that basically like really gave away like a lot of the stuff, and I was just like, why the fuck are you doing that? Okay. Like, let me just decide here how I want to put this. Why the fuck are you doing that? So I just, if you're gonna,
why are you the way you are?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm going to be writing timestamps down for all of the obscenities that I'm going to say. 14 minutes around, before and after. Okay.
No, I get it. It's just, it's hard to stay off the internet in these type of moments, because people are out there trying to spoil things for everybody on purpose, or the people that actually just do it for content, and they're not trying to spoil it. It's just more they're getting their content out there for the people who may not know about it, and they're just getting it out there. So, but it's the people that do it on purpose are the ones that are like, dude, stop ruining it for everybody.
Yeah, you're trolling, you're spoiling. You're not just spoiling the story, you're spoiling the fun for casual fans who haven't read the books. And and maybe that's just entitled people to think, well, I read the books, so I already know what happened. So if you didn't read the books, that's on you. And it's like,
right.
Guess what? Some people read as fast as Anthony and I, which if you put a snail and a tortoise in a race,
neither of them win.
Neither of them win. And as you said, when George R. R. Martin releases like the final book for Winds of Winter, which is the Game of Thrones ending that we've all been waiting for, which I've said it's written, I stand by this. He has it done, and when he passes on in his will, it'll say, publish the book and let all of the money go to my fam to take care of them for the next couple generations, because it will be one of the top selling books of all time at up to then, right? So just lost my train of thought. I'm like so hyped to talk about this. Collect.
You were talking about people putting stuff on the internet that you didn't.
I was going like this because of the graphics that they're posting, and it's not that the graphics are directly spoiling it, but it's enough to engage someone to click and open it and read through it without realizing. And I did this two times.
Mm-hmm.
2 times. And I do this because Gordon Ramsay does this. He says, give me 2 nominees for who should go home from Hell's Kitchen. But 2 times I saw a graphic and it was like a drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple, but like I almost just said what they were. And
I was going to say, don't say it.
I don't want to be that person, but I clicked the open and I was like, oh, what's this? And I'm reading through the description and I'm like, okay. So
thanks.
That like the 2 things that I saw were literally giant moments in how House of the Dragon like concludes. So I was just like, okay, I know this is happening, but I can't wait to see it like on the TV screen. So I am looking forward to them despite knowing how things are supposed to pan out. And again, with the changes that they are making on the show, a lot of the adjustments are because they're trying to cover a lot in a short amount of time. Like each of the next 2 seasons, because they did confirm that the show is going to wrap up after 4 seasons. And I'm like, okay. So a lot of season 2 was just dragging stuff out. Like a lot of the events happen within the course of like maybe a month or 2 tops.
Yeah.
And when I say a month or 2, it really feels like just a week or 2, because it feels like these things are all happening one day after the other.
Yeah. Because even in like episodes 3 and 4, they were still referencing like, Allison was still referencing like, hey, it's been like
2 weeks,
10 to 14 days since
Viserys
died. So, and everything has gone to whoopsie. So I'm like, all right, well, they're definitely not going too far off the time. Like this is very close in like days and days into these things. Now I feel it's like you're getting a little bit further down. And I think the biggest thing, one, we'll talk about this right now before we get too far into it. The one thing that we didn't mention in our
this is how we wanted to start transitioning into the second half of season 2. Go ahead.
So the one thing we missed, and we realized it after we stopped, like, crap, but we didn't fully get into the fact that Aemon saw Aegon after he got burnt down from Aemon
with Sunfire,
trying to take out Meleys, and he was down on the ground pretty much almost lifeless, and then Kristen Cole finds Aemon almost trying to kill Aegon.
Oh, he was unsheathing 100%.
He was definitely about to do it.
Yeah.
but and that pretty much set up the rest of the season for how Aemon and Aegon's relationship was going. So now it's like Aegon is fearing for his life because Aemon is taking his position at this point while Aegon is recovering. And I think it's almost Aemon didn't want the throne, but now that he actually has the power to get in there, he's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna take it for what it is. So he's pretty much trying to correct all the wrongs that he feel that his brother did. And
when you go back to season 1 and Aegon not wanting the throne at all, like he was hiding from everybody, right?
Yeah.
And Aegon told Aemon, like, you can have it, I don't want it. And Aemon was like, too bad, you are the guy. Like,
and even he was saying in that same episode, he's like, hey, if they cannot find Aegon, they're gonna want to find me. And he's like, and I plan to be found. So if he's pretty much dead and they come looking for me, I'm planning to be found. So if I am next in line and Aegon is dead, I'm not gonna not be running away. I will take that spot. So now that he actually has that point, he's stepping up to be the one in line. And now you got Aemon really dealing with a lot of the same things that Aegon was dealing with the small folk, and they're really trying to conserve a lot of their resources and not giving it back to the small folk. So now they're rebelling against the crown because there's no food, there's a lot of resources for them, and the higher ups rely on the small folk in order for a lot of things to keep going. And I think Aegon was starting to really see that in his little sessions of the counseling. And in the very first 1 or 2 episodes of the small folks saying like, hey, we need this for the ships, we need we're trying to build more ships or do this for this, and we need that for that. And I think Otto Hightower was trying to tell Aegon, because Aegon was going to give them the help that he wanted. He's like, well, why don't we help them, because these are the people that help us. But Otto was trying to mention to him, like, hey, we can't always give everybody what they want. And then he's like, okay, well, whatever I said I was going to give you, I can't. So,
right. Well, and I think just backtracking to the first half of the season with that, it's just that Viserys didn't like teach Aegon any of that, because he taught Rhaenyra all that, because Rhaenyra was named the heir, like the rightful heir. So Aegon here is just, I don't want to say misguided, because he wasn't ever supposed to be the heir as far as Viserys was concerned. Right.
So he had no, come up of like, oh, these are the things that you need to learn if you're going to be, sitting on the throne. And he kind of gave all that knowledge to Rhaenyra.
Yep. And yeah, like you said, they were lined up in front of him, and he's just like, yeah, sure. And Otto's like, no.
Right.
We can't, like you were saying. And eventually we see Aegon dismiss Otto Hightower as hand and names Sir Criston Cole. Sir Crispy. Yeah.
Sir Criston Cole, which is the worst thing that could have happened. But
Criston.
I like how they were saying too, like how he's like, Sir Criston has already made a move, and then Otto's like, what did he do now? Like, like out of Criston Cole did something cool. Like, what cool did he do? Like what stupidity did the guy do? And he was saying the fact that he went and sent one of the twins over to kill Rhaenyra, and he's disguising himself as his brother. And even Otto Hightower was like, oh, crap. Now, like, they were trying not to have any bloodshed, which was odd for Otto Hightower, because he was the one that was really trying to get Aegon on the throne. And for whatever ways, if he had to, he probably would have. But now he's like, I don't want any bloodshed. So for him to be saying like, if you wanted to take Rhaenyra out, you were going through like such high ends to make sure that Aegon was on the throne, but somebody wants to take out Rhaenyra, and you're like, no, I don't want to, happen that quick. But
and the whole thing with that was Otto Hightower was a man of scheming,
yeah,
and just a mastermind of plotting.
yeah,
Whereas Aegon is just carrying out like without consideration to all the angles that come into play, because he's not smart like that. He's not brain smart. He's just like, oh, I'll just do whatever I want because I'm the king.
He's not like into like politicking and schemes. He's just more, hey, how he just hung all the rat people. He's
the
just
rat
like,
catchers,
hey, yeah. He just, instead of trying to maybe do something less civil, he's like, hey, if I can't find the person, but I knew it was a rat catcher, I'm just gonna kill all the rat catchers, and then at least if it's gonna be one of them, but you're gonna kill all of them at the same time. So that kind of definitely, to him, he's like, hey, I solved the issue, let's keep going. But then he doesn't keep into consideration that he probably he obviously killed innocent people in that aspect, but in his mind, he's like, well, I took care of the problem. But
yeah,
I killed some innocent people, but I solved the issue. Let's move on.
Yeah. And when Aemon, the Prince Regent, steps in to take over for Aegon when he's down and out, like at the end of that first council meeting, he was like, by the way, cut down the
cut down the rat catchers. Yeah, they're stinking.
Yeah, yeah, they be stanking up.
I can't sleep at night.
Whoopsie. Stanks.
Whoopsie. But it smells like 100% rat. Whoopsie. For real,
dude. Yeah, I mean, if we go back to just episode 1, obviously Blood and Cheese is like the big thing that really sets off the season. And
yeah, like we said, we didn't think it was going to get that like into it. We heard a lot about that thing in between, the start of the season, but I didn't think they were going to hit it with us like right off the bat. I thought that probably would have been maybe one of the middle episodes of something, like second episode, third episode, but I did not expect that to start happening in the first episode.
I will say, if they started season 1, or they started season 2 episode 1 with that huge WTF moment, and then they left us with the season finale that we got, we better be getting some heavy hitters.
Whoopsie! I told
season 3 episode 1 immediately.
Yeah, I told you, I'm like, hey, if they let us off with like everybody just coming within 10 to 25 miles of each other, they better be giving us some type of battle within that first episode. Like, they have to do some type of bloodshed, either from ground or on the ships, somebody coming and in the grips with somebody and battling. We have to have some type of battle within that first episode, if not coming into episode 2, because you obviously know people are right there and they're ready to start throwing down.
Yeah. Let's wait to talk about that until we get to.
Yeah, I know we're jumping around a little bit, but
yeah, and it's fine. This isn't going episode by episode. We are just, there's so much that happens in every episode. We're not breaking it down detail for detail here.
Yeah, we're trying to capture a little bit of the favorite moments too, instead of really trying to, go into great detail about every single episode, because you can find many videos of that online and you can read a bunch of articles if you want to get into great detail. But we figured we tried to keep to like the favorite moments and, how this is going to probably tie into season 3.
Yep.
So, we've gotten into the fact that, Aemon and Aegon, their, little thing is the fact that Aemon's starting to really take his position and it's going way over his head, and even in the last episode, you can start seeing like the fear in his eyes of the fact that
in his one eye, because he
in
only has
his one eye,
Yeah.
that he no longer thinks. Well, not necessarily doesn't think, but he thought, "Hey, I have Vagar. I'm the most fearsome person in this land." But now that Rhaenyra has all these dragons, he's like, "Oh, whoopsie! I'm no longer, the biggest, baddest person around, and now I got to make Vagar, step back instead of being like, okay, you can just destroy whatever because you're the biggest dragon out here, So he's definitely has some competition now.
Yeah, biggest thing with Aemon is with Aegon not dead. He is on milk of the poppy. Basically, Aegon episodes 5 through 8 is he's down and out for the count. They showed them in episode 5 trying to peel his armor off of him. It's all melted to him. His legs are really messed up. The biggest thing was Larys Strong, Sir Weird Foot stuff here.
Yeah, Sir Weird Foot stuff. Yeah,
yeah. He tries to make his way in as, I guess, hand to Aemon, and Aemon's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not having it. You can piss off."
Because I think he knows his type of
intentions
to be like, yeah, I'm just trying to get under your. So he's like, yeah, no, I don't need you in my circle, so I know your intentions. So where Aegon, I think, is more easy to manipulate in that way.
Well, because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, so he doesn't see that Strong is able to kind of manipulate him a lot more than Aemon, but I think that scares him because he knows Aemon is a lot smarter and he can see through those type of people.
Yeah,
so he can't manipulate Aemon where he can do that to Aegon.
Well, Aemon is not one for people that are trying to outsmart, which is why Otto Hightower being gone. Great. Again, that was Aegon's doing, but I'm sure Aemon is fine with it. And, Aemon basically tells his mother, Alicent, like, "You're gone from the council. Get out." Right. Like, just boots her away.
Thanks, mommy.
And we see later, I think it's episode 7, where she asks the one Kingsguard to follow her out. She wanted to go out. And he's like, "Okay, I'll have so-and-so and so-and-so." And she's like, "No, just follow me." Which is like, okay, does she want to go out and drown herself? And then you see her laying there, arms out, like she's on the cross and everything. And then she opts against it.
She has an epiphany.
Yeah. Alicent winds up. I mean, we get Rhaenyra sneaking in to the Red Keep in episode 3. Yeah. And Rhaenyra tries to reason with Alicent, and then basically Rhaenyra helps Alicent understand that Viserys was not talking about Aegon, her son.
He was talking about Aegon the Conqueror.
Aegon the Conqueror and the Song of Ice and Fire, the prophecy, all of that.
and Alicent's like, huh.
And then episode 4,
I gotta go.
Gotta go. Bye. Yeah. Episode 4 is when Alicent is going and looking for Viserys's books, like to do her research on the history, and that's when Aegon was like, "Well, mother, what would you have me do?" And she was like, "Absolutely nothing. Let the council do all the work for you." Like, because she knows that he doesn't know jack.
Whoopsie. Yeah, right? So it's like do nothing. That's
and he gets drunk and then winds up getting on some fire, and then that's when he winds up. That's kind of the whole thing, is where Rhaenyra wants to get on a dragon, go do this, and her council's like, you are supposed to take the throne. We can't risk you going out there and getting killed, because otherwise, what's it all for? Right?
Exactly. Which you can't be mad at them for.
No.
They're fighting for her. If she dies, then what's the point of doing anything else,
It's all for nothing. And Jacaerys actually kind of says that, like, if something happens to you, then everything that we're fighting for goes to shit. right?
Exactly.
And that also is like Jacaerys is trying to be involved in doing more. Like, hey, let me go out and do this, and Rhaenyra's like, yeah,
No.
no, I named you my heir, so if anything happens to you, I have no heir. Because we know Lucerys got chomped away at the end of season 1, right?
Right. And
So, I mean, I really do think that there's, like, with Kristen Cole, there was a lot of dynamic with him in the first half of the season, and then really not much.
yeah, I think with the fact that him and Allison kind of having like that little relationship, and then they kind of started having the falling off after everything, and I think it really obviously messed with his mind, because he's like, this girl saved me twice.
Yep.
And now, like, I'm still trying to get over her, but obviously not getting over her. But then he's putting into the concept of the fact that, hey, we're about to be fighting amongst these dragons that have no care for anybody that's going to be on the floor of this, so we're probably going to die soon. So whatever we're out here for, it's pretty much up to the dragons at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
And I think he's still, shattered from what he saw at Rook's Rest too. So that's kind of, his, he's still shook from all that, and he's probably definitely thinking like, hey, if that's what these battles are going to be like now, there's like no fitting for us to even be on the battlefield anymore, because those dragons are just going to take over everything anyway.
Hence Dance of the Dragons, and it's really just all about. And he says in episode 5, pardon me, like you said, it's really not up to us. We're just kind of like here living through this. It's like this war is really up to the dragons at this point, because they are nuclear weapons at this point. Like just casting wildfire over whoever, whenever, depending on the dragon sees whoever's riding them, and commanding them to Jacaerys, burn them all. Like,
and you can even
whatever.
say the fact that, they have riders, but still the dragons can do whatever they want. I mean, you can command them to do certain things, but at the end of the day, they're still going to do whatever they want.
Yeah, and I think, yes, Kristen Cole.
They've made that pretty prominent with, Lucerys getting, eaten by Vhagar, because obviously Aemon didn't tell him to do that, but then he had to go back and say, like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, because he wanted to look like he was in control, instead of saying, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah, right.
Like, he didn't want to seem like he was wussing out.
It's like that Kevin Hart. No.
And then, okay, here we are. But yeah, Aemon is just on his power trip going season 5, and then after that, all of the council meetings are super awkward because everyone is trying to plot the right moves, and Aemon's just like, yep, nope, we're doing this, and everyone's just like, okay, why are we even here? Because he's just doing whatever he wants at this point. It's curious though, like, do you think that if Aegon hadn't flown off in episode 4, that things would be smoother? Because Aegon didn't know what he was doing anyway. So it's like,
I think you probably wouldn't have gotten, a lot of the, house burnings and,
oh well, yeah, because
out of angst,
Aemon just took it upon himself to do that.
Yeah, so like the things out of anger, and with Aemon being like, hey, I don't want to look weak, so I'm definitely gonna show my stripes, instead of where Aegon was like, he didn't want to look weak, but he had already started making himself look weak by not really retaliating on a lot of things. So hence, I think that's why he ended up just riding out there, because I think he knew a lot of people took him for a person that doesn't act on a lot of things he says anyway. So he's like, well, I'm just going to ride out and get this done myself.
Yeah. Let's talk about Corlys Valerian real quick, the Sea Snake.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Alan and Adam, his bastard sons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because huge stuff happening with them. Obviously, the end of episode 6. In episode 6, should go back here. The end of episode 5, Jacaerys is basically insinuating to Rhaenyra, like, hey, there are people not in the books that you're reading, illegitimate Targaryens
Yeah.
that can definitely ride dragons. Basically saying, I know that I'm not, basically saying, like, I know I'm a bastard too, but I can ride a dragon. So
Mm-hmm.
there's more of them out there because the Targaryens like to mess around like that,
Yeah.
So
Because they either have like some type of like Targaryen blood
Mhm.
or Valerian, or like they don't have to. They've learned like they don't have to be all pure
blood, yeah.
pure blood to ride a dragon. As long as you have some type of blood family, then you're technically able to have those type of powers.
You've got a good chance at riding a dragon, right?
Yeah.
So episode 6, they bring in the one knight that I guess Rhaenyra traced through the books and was like, oh, look,
Yeah.
you have some Targaryen or Valerian blood in you. Let's try to get you to claim a dragon. And you and I both knew.
Didn't really go as planned.
Cheyenne's sitting here like, oh my God, he's going to claim the dragon. And I was like, nope, he's toast. Yeah.
Yep. He's warm, buttery toast.
Yeah. Exactly. Sure enough, that's what happens. And then by the end of the episode, Sea Smoke flies out, chases down Adam of Hole, and he's backed up on a brick, and Sea Smoke is just sniffing him out.
Yeah.
And
how crazy has that got to be being chased by a dragon, and then he's like, I just want you to come on top of me, bruh. Like, dude.
I mean, seriously, defecating all over
wanna
those
take a
rocks that he
ride,
was
bruh?
laying on. Yeah.
What up, bruh?
Yeah. So the opening scene of the opening scene of episode 7 is Rhaenyra going to meet him because
somebody had told
someone
about
told
him
her
claiming the dragon.
Yeah, someone is riding Sea Smoke around, and she's like, what?
What?
And hops on Cyrax and goes searching.
Mhm.
So then we get that exchange at the opening scene of episode 7. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra invites him back to Dragonstone, and then you get the moment where Corlys...
Hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Corlys is like, yeah, I know why you're here, because you're my son, but I haven't told anybody about it. But Adam and Alan, they both know they're his sons, right? So then episode 8, just fast forwarding to Alan. Obviously, the dynamic between Adam and Alan, because Adam was like, dude, we could be way up here living way more lavishly. And Alan's like, yeah, but our dad wanted nothing to do with us for all of our lives here. So Adam winds up at Dragonstone with a dragon, and Alan's like, yep, nope, I'm just working on the ships with all the shipmates here.
Yeah.
And then we get such an epic scene, like as far as acting is concerned. Alan's delivery to Corlys is just top notch.
It was great.
And there's really good acting moments throughout this whole show, but that to me in the episode really stood out as powerful delivery, like just absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say outside of the dialogue between Daemon and Rhaenyra when they were having their fight earlier in the season, before Daemon heads out to Harrenhal, this scene here has to be the next biggest emotional type of scene that
It just delivered on all cylinders, bro.
because
Yeah,
you're seeing these kids that their dad neglect, and they saw him living in the riches with his son and wife and everything, and they're just living in poverty, and he's trying to tell Corliss, like, do you know, like, how our lives were growing up, like, just basically trying to survive off of whatever we can get, but then I'm looking at you like in this higher life. So if you're trying to help me, I don't need your help. And any like thing you try to request for me for help, I'll just keep on denying it, because I did pretty much I didn't need your help then. I don't need it now. So it was definitely very moving, to the point where he's like, hey, I understand you're trying to help me, but why are you trying to help me now when you could have helped me when I was a kid?
Well, and I think it's because Corliss is trying to name him the heir to Driftmark. And Alan is like, oh, no, you're just doing this because it serves you.
Right.
And the scene is just so good, man.
I would like to hope that there comes to like a scene where he eventually accepts, Corliss a little bit more, instead of being like, I don't need your help, or like, hopefully there comes that full circle thing, and like they actually have a better relationship at the end of the season.
So just
hopefully it doesn't come in a bad situation, but yeah. But we know in Game of Thrones situations, when there's ever some type of like good, there's always some bad right around the corner from it.
Long pause. Sorry. Episode 8, we get the Lannister guy that's trying to negotiate with the you know
the
who the triarchy.
Triarchy.
Yeah. Yep. So we see Corliss and Alan set out to sea at the end of episode 8, and there's going to be a huge blockade situation that happens at sea. So my prediction is we're going to get some sea battle episode 1.
I think so. I think that might be the first one.
And that to me would be where we lose Corliss and Alan. I don't know how it goes down, but I think Alan does wind up becoming the heir of Driftmark, because Adam is obviously a dragon rider at this point. I will say this: the whole Baela, oh shoot, I can't remember the dragon's name that she finally finds at like the very end of the episode.
Oh yeah,
the wild dragon.
I forget.
Which in the books is supposed to be
another S, I think.
It's supposed sheep stealer,
something like that.
Yeah. Again, I just kind of lost interest in that particular scenario because it was really long and drawn out. Jane Eyre,
sheep stealer.
Jane Eyre was awful. I just couldn't stand her, but she also kind of led Baela on to we're shipping all of you off to Pentos for your safety, just to get you out of Dodge, like get you out of the way while all of this is about to go down. But insinuates there's a wild dragon just lurking in the fields. And then
because she's like, there's definitely a dragon out here. She's like, yeah, there is, but we didn't really worry about it. Like, all right, well, I'm gonna go try to clean this dude here.
Yeah. So I really wanted that to happen, like maybe episode 7. But they just decided.
Yeah, they drew that out a good bit, and they gave us the whole scene of Sheepstealer yelling at Baela. So you're obviously gonna probably see her claim him. Maybe not the first episode, maybe the second episode, because I feel if we're getting what we hope, it's gonna be a lot of battle, a lot of stuff, and then maybe the second episode will be more torn down, calm down, and maybe you get Baylor, riding sheep stealer at that point.
Yeah, or I mean, I think they might just hold that off until episode 2. Like,
Yeah, because it's not like it doesn't seem to be a main important part that you have to see right away. That can be like an episode 2 cool down type of, see like, okay, let's go back to this area of the story and see what's going on there.
well, I think episode 1, guess what? Not all of the dragons and the dragon riders are surviving whatever is about to happen in episode 1 of season 3, right?
Yeah.
So episode 2, I could see Rhaenyra being like, okay, what's left? What else do we have to work with? And then Baylor just comes in with Sheep Stealer, and everyone's like, oh my God, where did that dragon come from? And she's like, yeah, I found it in the grass way over there somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about Daemon.
I was just gonna say, I think we need to get back to Daemon and the fact that he was building this whole army within Harrenhal, and while he was having all these Weirwood dreams, and the fact that he was going through so many changes, and at the basis of episode 8, he finally was able to be proven that he's ready to see all these dreams and the future after him. And if we want to go into that or a little bit more backtrack before we get into that.
No, for sure. Basically season 1 of the show is just showing you that Daemon is out there for himself and just feeling like he can really help control a lot of what's going on in the grand scheme of things. And he goes to Harrenhal to establish an army. He takes Harrenhal. He's basically like, you all bend the knee to me now. And Alice Rivers is like, yeah, I know who you are. I know what you do. I know your intentions. And she tells him like, yeah, this place is built on basically a giant cemetery. Yeah. So it's haunted, to say the least, right? We got to talk about Oscar Tully for a second, right? The kid that he tries to say, okay, I'm trying to get like River Run to join my cause, and Oscar Tully's like, yeah, well, my grandsire is still alive, and Daemon's like, do you want me to take care of that for you?
I was just saying, like, we can kill him if you want.
So basically what happens is Alice Rivers knows that is holding up the process, and all of a sudden the grandsire Tully dies. I forget his name, but it's implied that Alice Rivers like
pretty much offed him.
Yeah, with witch magic or whichever she did. Oscar shows up. He is the heir. He takes over. He comes in. The whole beef with the I think it's the Blackwoods, and I forget the other family, where like that whole situation was a thing, which I guess is apparently more prominent in the books. And Daemon was just like, why don't y'all just resolve this? And then Oscar Tully is such a G'd up from the feet up, right? Basically,
he definitely took
basically steps up to Daemon and is just like, something needs to be resolved here, and then Daemon just hacks the dude's head off.
Right. Yeah. If you want my people, then you have to do something for me to show your loyalty.
Yep.
And he had to pretty much cut off the dude's head. That he pretty much said that you can pretty much do anything you want in order to get power in a way. So now he's like pretty much going behind his word. He's like, well, I did everything you told me to do. He's like, well, times have changed. Bye-bye.
Yoink.
Yoink.
Septibus, right?
Yeah.
Damon's visions, I thought that they were really long and drawn out also, but we get the big payoff, right?
Yeah, we were all wondering when and if they were gonna, start putting in some Game of Thrones stuff, and I think this was the biggest,
well,
payoff.
Hold on before we get
Yeah.
into that. Rhaenyra sends someone from her council, I forget the guy's name,
Yeah.
to Harrenhal to like check up and see like what's going on with Daemon. Finally, right?
Mhm.
Because this guy is basically saying to Rhaenyra like, by all means, without disrespecting you, we need a king. Like we need a man to be like leading and making these decisions.
Rhaenyra's intentions are good, but in this type of time, we need a king.
Yeah, and I think that also hit home for Rhaenyra because Rhaenys is gone. Because Rhaenys and Meleys went down at the end of episode 4, courtesy of Aemon and Vhagar. Corlys Velaryon was named Hand to the Queen. Kind of missed that part. That happened in episode 5. After Rhaenys went down, and Corlys was just distraught because she's gone.
That's right. Yeah.
Rhaenyra winds up naming him Hand to the Queen, and he
didn't want it at first.
Trying to decide if he wants to accept. He tries to name the one daughter. I get their names mixed up. It's not the one that's up at the Vale with Jane Eyre. It's the other one that's still there.
Right. Yeah, I forget the name.
She basically convinces Corlys, like, this would be good. You should do this. And he accepts, right? Trying to get back on track because I definitely just tangented off, but it makes sense as to yeah, because the guy was saying we need a king. Rhaenys is gone, so she sends out looking for Daemon, and the guy shows up to Harrenhal and is talking to Daemon out by the weirwood tree, and Simon Strong is just lurking there, eavesdropping, and here's the guy basically trying to tell Daemon to usurp Rhaenyra. And he sends a raven to Dragonstone, and then she hops on Syrax and asks Adam to take Seasmoke and follow her, goes to Harrenhal, and then we get Rhaenyra and Daemon finally meeting up. But this is after what you were going to get into. I wanted to
clear that up, right?
I wanted to preface before you were about to get into, which is the best part of episode 8, the best part of the finale is Alice River saying, you've definitely come a long way. You're not so into yourself. You're not just out there doing what you want, thinking that what you do controls everything. You realize you're just a cog in this wheel.
Yeah.
And then
which that really allows him to be like, okay.
Puts his hand on a weirwood tree, and then we get the visions of the future. And boy, oh boy, so much good stuff happening here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because you were getting into this.
Yeah, because we were all wondering when, even in the beginning of season 1, like, are they going to adapt anything from Game of Thrones into this? Are they going to mention anything from Game of Thrones in this? So I think this is one of the moments that we've all been waiting for as Game of Thrones fans. We finally get, the Night King, even though it was different than the Night King from the Game of Thrones. Obviously, different characters, different times, but you know who it was. And then you see the silhouette of this lady, and then you see 3 dragons coming out. So you obviously know that was Daenerys. So I know I marked for that. That was an awesome moment.
I literally threw both hands up and was geeking out on the couch.
I thought they were going to do more from Game of Thrones, but obviously they didn't want to go too much into it. But then they cut to Helena talking to Damon and everything, and so then they have a little like kind of small conversation with it,
which is like a real thing where Helena can get into.
She
like
can
she,
with
she
her dragon dreams, she can kind of
that was legitimately her communicating with Damon in that moment.
right, yeah.
That wasn't a vision like everything that he was seeing. The three-eyed raven, which I was geeked because they show the three-eyed raven, and then they show
didn't they show Brandon Rivers?
They show Brandon Rivers as the three-eyed raven, which
in his younger form, but
he becomes the three-eyed raven, who is the three-eyed raven in the main show Game of Thrones. Just way later in the timeline, he just happens to be like 200 years old.
Right.
I think the only other moment that we're all and we get the flashes of the White Walkers, which I'm like, holy shit, here it is. Like, so good. We've all been waiting for a White Walker cameo in this show.
And obviously, within that, you see a bunch of dead dragons, obviously showing that, the end of the House of Dragons, that it's going to be the aftermath of everything going down. Then going fast forwarding into was it Damon being sucked down, or did they say that was Aemon?
No, they show Aemon, like the visuals are just so good, but they show him crashing into the water and then being like taken down. It's not until later in the episode, and we'll talk about Helena and Aemon's exchange. Right. Oh shoot, I had something. Hold on. Brandon Rivers, three-eyed raven.
Did it have to do with Aemon and the water, or Damon and the water?
No, yeah, I think you cut. Yeah, it was Damon going through the water the way that he did.
Yeah,
which is tracing back to Alys Rivers saying you die here when he first got to Harrenhal, and he's just like, what? So then we think, okay, Damon's never leaving Harrenhal, right?
Right.
That scene, I will go back and just watch that again because,
like you said, the visuals of that were awesome.
Yes, so good. And dude's name is Brandon Rivers, which is weird because Alys Rivers, right? But I mean, we saw Brandon Rivers, like what kind of hair he had, which was blonde. So
probably no connection, but
probably Targaryen.
Yeah.
So stuff happening there, right?
Hopefully we get more sense into that.
We're going to get clarity on that in season 3 or season 4. But just the only other cameo now, since they did the White Walker thing, which we've all been waiting for. Okay. Definitely wasn't expecting the Daenerys cameo. Not that we got Emilia Clarke in there, but it was definitely supposed to be Daenerys. Yeah. We get the three-eyed raven, which is super cool. We get the stuff with Helena. The only other thing that I need from this show going forward is Melisandre, the Red Woman, because we know that she's alive in this point of the timeline, because in the main show we know she's like 300 or 400 years old or something like that. Right. Especially when she takes the necklace off, you can tell. I mean,
she's pretty old.
She's like female Schmeagol. If you ever saw Lord of the Rings,
yeah,
my precious, right? Any rate, dude.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I mean that's the only other thing that I would really prefer to see. After that, Rhaenyra flies to Harrenhal, and Daemon, now understanding that he is just a small piece of the grand scheme of the puzzle, and he realizes like he knows his end, and he is here for Rhaenyra, and everybody that is there in Harrenhal bends the knee to Rhaenyra, and it's like, okay, this is the moment we've been waiting for more than half of the season since Daemon left
Right.
Dragonstone, right? Super cool. So it really just looks like, oh, look, Rhaenyra's got all of these dragons, and Aemond is just trying to say, oh, well, I have Vhagar, and I'm the, like you said, like I'm the most fearsome person in the land, and he's trying to he's trying to force Helena to get on Dreamfire so that he has a backup dragon to go help him battle these people.
Right.
And
But she's like, I don't even know how to fight, so how am I going to get on a dragon?
Helena's like, I don't want to fight. And she also knows how this is all going to play out. She's just kind of lurking around in the background like, it is what it is. And she tells him, I know you burned Aegon and Sunfire down.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I could have you killed for this. And she's like, it doesn't matter. You like, your fate is your fate, and you're gonna get swallowed up by the God's Eye. And I'm like, so they're just gonna tell everybody what's gonna happen here, okay? The way that they are producing the show and directing the show, they know how many loyal fans to the story have read the books. The casual fans are just like, whoa, Alice Rivers told Daemon he's going to die here at Harrenhal. And Helena is telling Aemond, you can have me killed. It's not going to change your fate. You're going to get swallowed up by the God's Eye. Like, you're going to drown too. Like,
I think it's now more the anticipation of when that's going to happen. Is it going to happen tomorrow? Is it going to happen in like 2 days, 2 weeks, a month? So it's like now Aemon's going to always have that in the back of his head. Like, okay, I'm going to die soon, or I'm going to die, months or a year, whatever. I know I'm not going to be here for much longer, if anything. So that's always going to be in the back of his head now. So now he has so many more things that are going to be, taking him off angle. And, there's just so much more leading into season 3 that we have to look forward to, other than just like a battle. Now it's like, I don't think you're going to get Rhaenyra. Obviously, it seems like they're looking to the fact that Rhaenyra is going to take back the throne, but how soon is it? I don't think it's going to happen in that first episode. You can probably see it happening within that first episode, like within the first 3 episodes of her taking it over, and then, trying to figure out, okay, now I got to, rewrite some wrongs that everybody's been going through, but how does she deal with it? Because Aemon's like, hey, I'm not worrying about it now, because if somebody's going to take it over, it's their problem after that.
Okay, let's get into the Rhaenyra Alicent exchange, and let's talk about like the sequence of events that's playing out right at the end of episode 8 here.
Yeah. Which was another great scene.
Oh yeah, and
by those 2 actors too.
And the acting was really good. The delivery.
I did not expect that.
So I didn't either.
I thought it was either going to be like her and Daemon talking again, or maybe somebody else from the green side. I don't know who, or just somebody from the house talking. I did not expect it to be Alicent again.
Yeah, I was definitely caught off guard by that. The exchange was really good because Alicent was trying to get Rhaenyra to agree to like subtle terms. Rhaenyra's like, you're asking me to come in to claim the throne while Aemond is up battling.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically quietly saying, okay, you win, come in and claim the throne. Aegon is incapacitated entirely. She, and this is the big thing too, does she know that Larys Strong is taking Aegon and getting him out of Dodge.
Which I don't think she does.
I don't think she does either, and that's why I think Rhaenyra is going to go to King's Landing, because she tells Alicent, like, I'm going to have to take Aegon's head and show everyone, basically, I'm on a throne, Aegon's dead, here he is, totally gone. So we get Rhaenyra going to King's Landing, sitting on a throne, which is like the last thing in Daemon's vision when he has his hand on the weirwood tree.
Yeah.
So that's
Whoopsie.
happening. Like,
yeah, we at least know she's going to get back on the throne somehow next season.
She is going to get on the throne actually for the first time. It's going to be a thing, and then it's going to be, okay, she's sitting on the throne, so now she has to deal with the small folk. But she has all of these plans to sack King's Landing and sacrifice thousands of people, thousands of innocent people, right? And now Alicent's coming in and basically agreeing, yeah, you can have Aegon's head, because the dude, like I said, incapacitated. The guy doesn't want to live anymore at this point anyway. The only reason why he is alive still is because Sir Weird Foot stuff has taken him out of the equation and basically said,
yeah.
And he told Aegon, let them fight this ugly war for nothing, and then you can come in after the fact and be like, hey, yeah, no,
We'll
I'm
clean it
here.
up.
I'm here to restore the realm after this war that has happened, which by now nobody even remembers why they're fighting anymore. Right?
Exactly.
So really a lot of things happening here. We get Otto Hightower captured, and we don't know who has him.
Don't know. Yeah, don't know where he is.
Yeah, and then
where do you off the top of your head, maybe, where do you think he is? Do you think he's back? Do you think he's back at the around Hightower?
No, I think they want us to think he's captured. But I think he's actually, it's Alicent's son. I forget, Darren.
Yeah.
Who's in Hightown or Old Town?
Old Town.
And they show him flying the Blue Queen, the Blue Dragon, like at the very end of the episode.
Which I thought was pretty cool looking.
It was really cool. It was obviously just a quick teaser of like, oh, yep, this guy is going to enter the equation in season 3. I think that they could have, like, I think they just have him in like a cart and they're taking him back to King's Landing. I don't think he's actually in prison. I think that they want us to think that somebody captured him because it looks like that, right?
Right.
But we know he's going to enter the picture again in season 3, which I actually love what he has to offer for the show as far as, him being a mastermind, and it just makes the whole story a lot more interesting. And he delivers on the acting front too. I'm trying to think if we're missing anything really big. We probably are. There are a lot of stuff happening here.
There's a lot of small little niche details, but I think we hit a lot of the big things that we could talk about Meleys basically sacrificing herself to, try to during the Battle of Rook's Rest.
Yeah, we covered that on the mid-season recap.
We covered it more on the mid-season.
I think Jacaerys meeting with the Tullys at the Twins.
Yeah.
To get them on their side, that was important in a way.
And that was able to get the Starks through, right?
Yeah, because we have Craig Stark marching from Winterfell coming down as like that. That from what I've seen is going to play big into season 3. So looking forward to getting the Starks involved in the storyline too, because obviously they're a big part of the main show. The Lannisters securing like the Triarchy, that's going to play big into the sea battle with the Sea Snake,
Mm-hmm.
Prediction on my end. I think it's a matter of two, because Rhaenyra has plans to like sack King's Landing by
Mm-hmm.
killing people, but now she knows she can just stroll right in. But she can't call off all of the marching that's happening.
Right.
So it's like, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because she's going to be sitting on the Iron Throne probably by the end of episode 1, if not definitely episode 2.
Yeah.
Um,
And she's gonna, depending on how bad the small folk are at that point, she's gonna have to deal with all that stuff.
yeah, and I do feel like we're not going to see Aegon and Lara Shaw and Sir Weird Foot stuff until maybe episode 5 or 6 into season 3. Like, they're going to want us to think, oh, they're gone and like super out of the picture, and then they're just going to let everything else unfold that's like right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my prediction. As far as Aemon is concerned, he's on his way to River Run. But I think the other dragons like enter the battle, and he somehow escapes and heads.
I'm just really anticipating the fact that episode 1 and the rest of season 3, we're gonna be getting a lot of dragon battle, and it's just gonna be like, I'm hoping it's gonna be battle after battle after battle, and you know, hopefully getting to. I mean, they're looking to probably do a season 4, so they're probably going to be drawing a lot of stuff out. If we depending if we get 8 or 10 episodes, they're probably going to do a lot of what they did with Here Too, is just drawing out a lot of scenarios as well. So hopefully we get 2 battles out of this instead of just one big one in the middle of the season.
I'd like to see 3 battles. I think
we need more action in this season, because the last 2 we've had little bits and pieces, but we haven't really had like a good amount of like constant action.
Yeah, it's going to have to be. I mean, especially if the conclusion to the Dance of the Dragons, that I know is like what concludes the actual dragon battling. I as much as I hate to say it, I can't see them squeezing that in by the end of season 3, and then season 4 is all just fallout content from that. I feel like they're going to save that for the 3rd or 4th episode of season 4, and then we get 4 episodes after that are just basically like season 8 of Game of Thrones, where we got the Battle of Winterfell episode 3, and then the 3 episodes after that were just like the falling out of
little exchangings, and then
obviously we get the big event in King's Landing, where Rhaenyra starts just burning down King's Landing, and then episode 6 was like, okay, we got to get everything done in one episode here. Here we go. Right?
Yeah. Like I said, I think they have to hit us with something big in episode 1 for season 3. And I think they know it, hopefully, after they've noticed that, the ending of this season just left us, with a what the whoopsie type of moment. Like, you were right there. So I hope they can say like, okay, we're going to give you what you want. Like, especially after season 2, episode 1, with the blood and cheese, and how they can just really pop something off, like with a big moment, typical Game of Thrones. So hopefully at the last like half hour of episode 1, you can get a big battle start. Like you said, even if it's the 2 ships, like, kind of getting into some type of battle, and then the next episode we start getting all the ground battles and everything, with all the houses starting to go off that way, and then the rest of the dragons. So I think it's going to be a little bit all over the place. But I like to hope, like you said, I'd like to hope like 3 battles for next season.
I will go out on a limb, whichever. Wimmy limb. I will say the fact that they left us with such an anticlimactic season finale for season 2, I would like to hope that they give us the epic battle at the end of season 3 to make us feel like, okay, they really cheapskated us at the end of season 2, but we just got everything that we've been waiting for the finale for season 3, because the finale for season 4 is going to be the end all be all. That, like, if you've been paying attention, we know how this is going down, right? So
right.
I don't know the story enough to know that they have enough after the epic battle that I'm claiming could end season 3 to make a whole 4th season of just like Fallout stuff.
Right. You know? I guess it just depends on how condensed they're going to make season 3, or how much they're going to try to expand to get 8 episodes out of it. And then maybe the scene you're talking about, putting that in the beginning of season 4 and leading off of that until the end of the series.
Yeah.
So I think they could do a little bit more, extracting and expanding a little bit more in season 3. And then you have one more big conclusion of season 4, and then just letting that roll out. So
yeah. Or they start the epic battle at the end of season 3, and then they cliffhang us and don't give us the actual like conclusion of that until season 4, episode 1. That seems realistic, because that is a huge cliffhanger. But again, you got a lot of really people that are like, you literally gave us people marching towards each other for the finale of season 2.
Yeah.
And people saying, oh no, the main show never did this to us. That's weird. They killed Jon Snow at the end of season 5. Okay. And you had a lot of
but at least they
people.
brought him back. Well, we brought him back. Okay.
Yeah. But there was a whole year that went by before that was ever even a thing. So they know what they're doing. They know people are going to tune back in to see what happens. I think overall, the big thing that's selling me here is there is such in-depth storytelling, and the acting is top-notch. The production is so good.
Yeah.
Obviously,
like you said, I'd rather them take the time to make sure you get some stellar, graphics, cinema, whatever you want to call it, and instead of being rushed, and then you're like, okay, quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So it's better we wait, and now we have so many things coming up that we don't have, that this 2-year span is going to probably come a little bit quicker, since we have a couple prequel stuff that are going to be in the books. So
and yeah, that being said, we only really got Vhagar eating Arax and Lucerys to finish off season 1, and oh look, Rhaenyra's not happy. Like, that's what they left us with. And 2 years later, we all tuned in for this, and we got really good stuff along the way. Obviously, not super thrilled about them not really giving us a lot for that finale for season 2, but it's going to make us really look forward to seeing season 3, episode 1 again. Anth, anything else before we want to wrap this up? Did we miss anything?
I was going to say, I don't think we missed anything, but guys, if we did miss anything, throw in a comment. Let us know what you thought of the season finale. Let us know how you're thinking of season 3, what to expect. Are you excited? Are you mad? I know some people are. Write us some comments. Let us know how you feel. And
And please don't comment if you know, like if you've read the books.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Not the place for it. We do not welcome that. All right.
Yeah,
Just want to put that out there.
Right. Yeah. So, thank you all for tuning in to the House of the Dragon season 2, recap. And, I know we kind of went off and back and forth in a little bit, but we were trying to just hit a couple of the favorite moments from the season.
Key moments here.
Keys and little details, because we figure you can always read up on little more key moments and everything, but we wanted to try to take a lot more of the bigger concepts and talk about them and how they're going to play into season 3. So I think we hit a lot of the concepts, but again, to reiterate, if we missed anything, throw us a comment. And 2026 seems so far, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be quick because we have a lot of things coming up. So I'm looking forward to season 3. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing more from this Knights of the Seven Kingdoms thing that they're going to be having going. And I think we're going to be getting some more stuff from that. So to all our Game of Thrones fans, till next time, we'll be here doing some more stuff. So this has been One Set. And if you guys are here for the first time, again, my name is Anthony Irvin. I'm here with my buddy Jim Green. This has been One Set, guys.
All the love to you. Thank you.